Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Media Matters by Anfield Index. You have to mind that gap at the top already, don't you? Liverpool are 5 ahead of their nearest rivals. It's 5 out of 5 victories in the Premier League. It's nearly perfect. There's so much to like at the moment. There's so much to talk about. And even the games, even when they're not the biggest of competitions for everyone, they are coming thick and fast. I'm joined as ever by the renowned and the respected David Lynch, and just overall the picture for everything that's happened so far, David, and we've analysed, there isn't really much to complain about right now, is there?
No, I mean, some people are finding ways to do it, but just a far better start to the season than I think even the biggest optimist expected, to be honest, because I just think with the change, everything that's gone on this summer, you thought there were going to be some teething problems. I mean, there have been this, there's not been perfect performances, but in terms of the points return and especially considering the fixture list Liverpool were given to start the season, it's pretty amazing. And the fact is, if you keep winning relentlessly, then your rivals will inevitably drop points because nobody can go at 3 points a game, which Liverpool are doing at the moment, and that is happening. And so, to have a cushion already to win a derby, to be perfect in the Champions League so far as well, it's pretty amazing, really, and huge credit to the players and the manager for managing that.
Yeah, has been some week, especially when you look at all the others. And, I mean, we've got to get right into it. We secured derby bragging rights, and I suppose before we analyse the game, we were both there on Saturday, and it was an early kickoff, but it didn't quite feel like a normal early kickoff. I don't know why. It just felt like it was more up for it than normal. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, probably helpful that it was a derby, really, because I was a bit worried. I know we were messaging before the match. I was a little bit concerned that the atmosphere wouldn't quite be there. And as you said, it's kind of quiet around the ground in the build-up to the game, wasn't it? It was kind of, as you expect, everyone's kind of just sloping out of bed on a Saturday morning at the time that the game kind of kicks off, really. So, but once it kicked off, I thought it was a really good atmosphere and really got going. It was helped certainly by the performance on the pitch from Liverpool, certainly in the first half. I think the atmosphere kind of matched that, which was, the players absolutely needed that. I think they needed to be roared on, and it's something we kind of highlighted ahead of the game, really, is important. And I think Anfield delivered, and I think there's been some great atmospheres so far this season. And in the end, that kind of helped Liverpool over the line, I think.
Yeah, it was needed in the second half. And in the first half, I mean, 2-0 up as we go into the break. Is it fair to say that's probably the best half of the season so far?
Yeah, I think Atletico was up there. To be fair, I thought they were very good in that game and in both halves, really. To be honest, but yeah, in terms of things coming off, and there was some really really good stuff in that first half, and obviously to take a 2-goal lead in it, which was it was just fully merited, wasn't it? I think up to the kind of half-hour mark when Liverpool have scored, they've had multiple opportunities. They scored 2 really good goals, and I think Everton at half an hour in are on something like 0.09 expected goals themselves as well. So it was just a perfectly balanced performance, as you say, and they were really really good. And you get that platform then, and you think, well, this could be anything. This is the hiding that Liverpool have been threatening all season so far, particularly the last few games. Obviously, it doesn't quite work out like that, but very, very impressive in that first half, in that first half hour in particular.
Yeah, no doubts about it. And even for the second half, because Everton get their goal, I mean, there's no way Gay scores that in the top corner every week. We saw the effort he had in the first half. But was it maybe just a case of the week caught up with them a little bit? Because it has been 3 games in 6 days.
Yeah, it's crazy really as well, because you kind of forget about these things. I know I certainly did. So I'm sat in the press box watching the second half thinking, God, Everton are playing quite well here. I know they've improved under David Moyes, but they're really dominating, not in terms of chances, but in terms of territory. Definitely they were on top in that second half. And I'm sat there thinking, how are Liverpool letting this happen? They're letting the team back in again, which is something they've done. And I spoke about the mitigation after Atletico with, they were just kind of unlucky for me in that game to let Atletico back in it. But this time it really felt like they were giving momentum to Everton. And it's only kind of when it gets to full time, I think about the schedule that they've just had and the manager speaks about in his press conference. And the crazy thing is, I've been at the 3 games in 6 days. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it in the like while the game is going on, which is it shows you it's kind of easy to forget what these players are kind of having to put in on such a regular basis, really. And yeah, I thought they were, in that context, really, you've just got to tip your hat to them, because to not concede they obviously they concede the one, but to not concede a second, to give up so little, really, in terms of opportunities, because, as I say, Everton had territory, but I think they end up with 0.6 expected goals, which is, you're kind of happy if you come out of any match with that. 0.6, 0.7 is probably the benchmark where you kind of want to be at the very top end of it anyway. And yeah, to come out and to grind it out, having played that electric football in the first half, just showed you kind of two sides of the coin, that Liverpool can, they can tear you apart, but they can also really, really grind it out and battle and show character. And they definitely did that. And to restrict Everton, despite all the territory they had, I thought was a brilliant effort, really. And 3 games in 6 days, and you're up against a side that is prepared for a full 7 days, not even 6 days, so 7 days. And been able to work on everything, to have that extra legs in the second half, and they still couldn't find a way through. I thought, you've really, really got to tip your hat to Liverpool there for getting through and showing what they're all about.
Well, one of the English teams in the Champions League out of 6 won their victory or their game at the weekend. I think we all know who that was. Simple as that. And we've got to talk about some players. This is just rinse repeat as well. Ryan Gravenberch doing his best Mo Salah impression with a goal and assist, but just brilliant again, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that finish is just utterly world class, isn't it? I mean, at no point when the ball dinks over, you're just thinking he's going to have to take this down. He's going to bring someone else into play. I didn't think he's going to have a go. And it's such a difficult technique that, I mean, to the ball is still rising and he has to kind of, it's like a hook, isn't it? It's kind of to get the enough power to dip it over Pickford in the direction as well is unbelievable. And he follows that up with a beautifully weighted assist. And then I thought everything else he did in the game, winning his duels, winning tackles as well, being that defensive shield, particularly in that second half when Liverpool were under the cosh a little bit. I mean, the manager said after the game, actually, would have liked to have taken him off around the hour mark, but of course it goes 2-1 and he can't really do that. And thank goodness he didn't, really, because I just think he's so important to helping Liverpool get through it in the end. He's just an utterly world-class midfielder now. I don't think there's any question about that. And very, very fortunate that Liverpool kind of stumbled upon this solution of him playing in the 6, but he also, of course, is part of the rotation now, which works really nicely. So just a joy to watch him at the minute, but it has been for the past 12 months or so.
And you're right with the rotation, because if you see it on the TV and you're in the ground and you watch it back, you can just pick up things, but you can see very much, and he's talking there as he gave that interview, playing with more freedom. The way Liverpool are playing the double pivot, they are going almost a rotational 6, aren't they? Like box to box, it seems quite often. You'll see Grav drop in at times, but also as a Bosley, McAllister in this. It really is almost like a rotational 6, it seems.
Yeah, it's really nice, actually. Something they clearly worked on in pre-season to bring into this season is to give opposition players something else to think about, something else to deal with. And I thought I think it's a really clever solution to the Trent Alexander-Arnold issue, personally, because I think they had to get a little bit clever and build up, because they just don't have this cheat code at right back who can slide your ball into the final third from absolutely nowhere. They have to get clever in the build-up, otherwise it's so easy to press them and stop them. So, these little rotations they're doing now, and obviously, it's helping them in build-up, but it's also helping them get in someone like Ryan Gravenberch a little bit closer to the goal. I mean, primarily his role is to clean up and do the number 6 stuff, and he is the one who sits at that base more than anyone. But he's very, very capable. If he picks his moments to get into the final third, he's as good as anyone in that area, and he shows it with that finish, that assist. So I really like the way that is working at the moment, and that shows you the value as well, by the way, of having versatile midfielders who can do a bit of everything, and Liverpool definitely have that. So that's working really well, and I think it's getting even more out of Gravenberch on top of what we saw last season. So yeah, really, really clever from the management.
Yeah, and he's suing him an awful lot at the moment. And I mean, another player, there was rumours of his demise early doors, but there's Jack Grealish queuing for Mo Salah's shirt. And he was good again, wasn't he? And a great assist in this one.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? The speed with which people wanted to kind of write him off and pretend he's absolutely finished. I mean, 3 goals, 3 assists so far this season. Yeah, I thought he was excellent again, as he was in midweek. And yeah, he's just a massive player, isn't he? And he always turns up in these big games as well, always provides a goal or assist in them. And he's going to, his numbers are going to be right up there again this season. So yeah, maybe we could just hold back on writing him off at some points, because I know people are very eager to do it.
Yeah, he's going to finish top of those charts again. And there is another player I wanted to give a shout out for, because it's not been the easiest of starts for Milos Kerkez, but this just felt like his best game all round, didn't it? He seemed to have a real impact in this one.
Yeah, but again, really, for me, kind of feeds into this. And I don't know if this is a kind of social media driven thing, but it's like people are so desperate to be the first to say that a player's terrible or that a player's great, or, and so it's just swinging wildly all the time what people think about certain players. And, this guy's a god and this guy's absolutely woeful and has to be sold in the summer. And it's more kind of reactive than it's ever been, really, in terms of that. And Kerkez is a victim of that for me, because I thought he was magnificent against Arsenal, for example. I thought he was very, very good against Newcastle, but he obviously makes a mistake around a goal that's conceded. But it's kind of like, and then he's had some performances where he hasn't been as good and, obviously gets taken off against Burnley, and it's, right, well, this guy's actually rubbish now because of the Burnley performance, and he misses Atletico, and then, therefore, that means he's a complete write-off. And it's like, he's obviously not, is he? And let's stop doing that. Let's stop being so reactive. And, you can take things over a 10-game period, or maybe even a little bit longer. It's smart to do that, rather than trying to be the one who has the hot take first. So loads of nonsense about this, loads of panic about when he comes into the starting 11. And then I thought he was pretty flawless, to be honest. Just really committed in his defensive work, barely gave the ball away. Nothing rash that he did. I thought just, he can look a bit busy in the way he does things. And so maybe that makes people a bit panicky, but I just think he's very attentive to his job, and he gets stuck in, and, he's going to have the odd poor performance or whatever. It's because he's 21 years old, coming to Liverpool, standards just unbelievable. And it's, as the manager points out, he didn't have to play 3 games a week at Bournemouth. So we're going to see some little ups and downs, but the ups are going to be more than the downs, because we're talking about a very, very talented young player here. And I thought he showed it against Arsenal. I thought he showed it against Newcastle, as I say, and I thought he showed it here. He's just a very good player. So can we stop? He's going to have a stinker at some point. Can we just calm down about it a little bit? And we don't have to swing to the extremes on everything all the time. And I thought very, very good again against Everton, as he has been in multiple games this season and will be in multiple games going forward. I think a really, really good signing for Liverpool.
Yeah, he did look good in this one. And I suppose a bit of the difference in this one, it seemed like even with the derby, he had a bit more freedom, didn't he? He was actually going at times and overlapping and putting crosses. We actually almost saw the Kerkez we thought we were signing and how he was going to be utilised.
Yeah, he didn't seem to have to kind of hug the centre half as much, which was interesting. I don't know why. The manager will probably give a good explanation of why exactly that has been the case in some games and not in this one. Maybe it's because it's a home game against the side you're going to be on the front foot against. But I think that worked, and he can deliver a good cross as well, can't he? He gives them something else to think about. And actually, I think kind of, we know about that quality he's got, because obviously we saw it for Bournemouth last season, but also I think it's telling that the manager brings him on against Atletico late on, just to give them something else to think about. Just to, this guy's got pace on the overlap. He can swing the ball in. If we don't cover him, then and then all of a sudden you just start to get a bit stretched or whatever. So, yeah, he's definitely got that. And so I'm sure we will see more and more of that as the season goes on. The manager will give him a bit more license as he beds in. So, he's got all that to come as well, on top of these brilliant defensive performances where he just feels like he wins nearly every duel and wins every tackle, and he's doing a really good job in terms of all that. And by the way, he's unbelievable in the air. I just mentioned that quickly. Like, for someone who's not the tallest, he wins a lot of headers. So that's really nice when your fullback can do that, because obviously that's something that teams tend to target, is back stick and try and get a big man on the fullback. But he can he's got a real leap on him. So yeah, really, really like Kerkez as a player, and a lot more to come from him as well.
Did have a really good game on Saturday, and even when it was finished, the one thing I enjoyed, even when you see it afterwards, I mean, the David Moyes, the Jack Grealish interviews were quite funny, the things they were complaining about, but even ex-United players talking about the added time. Is it just showing where we are now, that we are just almost hated by everyone? It's a glorious place to be, really, isn't it?
Well, what's funny to me about that? I mean, I don't really understand why people think there should have been more added time. For what? Nothing really happened, did it? Subs, and they played past the 3, by the way. So, they accounted for every little bit of extra kind of stoppages, and there just wasn't any real justification for a lot of stoppage time, because Everton weren't wasting time, because at no point did they lead in the game. So, and Liverpool are not really a time wasting team. So 3 minutes is absolutely fine as far as I'm concerned, and they played a little bit beyond that as well to allow Everton to have an attack play out. If they'd have played further beyond that, by the way, Isak would have scored his first goal for Liverpool, so that would have been quite nice. So that maybe Liverpool should be aggrieved about that, but I didn't think there was any kind of need for that. But it's kind of funny, like seeing Rio Ferdinand or rival fans kind of tweeting about this stuff, because it just kind of reminds me when I was 10 years old and I was convinced that it was like a conspiracy to give Manchester United every decision and every moment, rather than just accepting they had the best players and the best manager, and Liverpool were not very good at the time. So, I think posting about this stuff is kind of the kind of thing you should maybe grow out of once you get past the age of 18, really. But if Rio Ferdinand wants to bang on about it, then fair enough.
It is just funny, and it was such a great weekend, and just added a little bit of joy to it.